This is a presentation on Big Schloss in George Washington National Forest. The location of the hike is right past Woodstock in Wardensville, West Virginia, and that is fairly easy to get to. All you have to do from Winchester is take I-81 south for about 10-13 miles. Take an exit 283, turn towards Columbia Forest onto West Reservoir Road, and turn right onto Back Road. You go down all these roads for about, a couple miles each, and then you turn right onto Wolf Gap Road and go for about 4 miles, and then you reach the campground that the trail is at. Also at this campground is Tibbet Knob Trail. It goes the other way out of it, and there's directions right at the campground that say exactly where to go to get to Big Schloss and a couple other hikes. So the topographic map shows that the elevation starts at around 2,200 feet because you drive up the mountain a little bit on Wolf Gap Road. It takes you up a ways. It's actually a really pretty drive too. So you go uphill for about half a mile. You go pretty straight uphill. It's pretty rough for a little bit there, but it doesn't take too long to do that, and it's also right at the beginning, so it's not too exhausting. And you end up walking along the ridge of the mountain for a while, and that's pretty cool. You go along like that for maybe a mile, and that takes you down a little bit. It drops the elevation down to maybe 2,600 feet. The first peak is around 2,800 feet when you reach the top of the uphill section. And then, you go back down a little bit and you walk along the ridge line, and it's just nice and easy. And then you keep walking and you end up going up again when you come off of the main trail, which is the trail to Miller Mountain, and then you'll see a sign that says Big Schloss, 1/4 of a mile. So you turn right and you go off the trail, and it takes you up to a bunch of rock formations, and it's really cool. And that goes up to about 2,900 feet. That's the highest point in the trail. So the terrain, at the beginning it was actually more dirt and a few rocks mixed in, but it was pretty flat ground. And but as you go higher up, there starts to be more rocks, and it gets a little uncomfortable to walk on. So when you get up to the ridge line, that's when it gets pretty rocky, and as you get nearer to Big Schloss, it gets even more rocky, and these huge rocks start appearing right in the middle of the trail. And some of them are kind of steps. Some of them you kind of have to jump to another rock to get further in the trail, but it's not hard to do or anything. And there's definitely, there were no rivers or anything. There was just dirt and rocks. Alright, so the views were actually amazing pretty much the whole hike. The drive up, there's a ton of views to look at, and then once you get to the campground, there's not so much, but as you start walking up, you can see on either side of you, you're starting to get higher than everything around you, and you can see mountains in the distance, and so once you get up past the first half mile of elevation, there's You're at the ridge, and there's like many viewpoints to look off of. There's probably about 5. There are definitely a little bit more than that, actually. And you can really look on either side of the ridge and see. And it's pretty cool because one side is Virginia and one side is West Virginia. Because you're right on the edge of that. You're on that state line. So, yeah, and they're not like hard to get to. They're right pretty much on the trail. You just have to go a couple feet off of it. And it's not like a immediate drop off, but it's definitely like if you fell, like it'd be pretty hard to get back up. Like it's a mountain. So there's also a bunch of views at the end when you actually get to the big Schloss part of it, and that is like it kind of surprises you. Like you go up and you go to these rock formations and you see like some huge ones starting to form, and you're like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then you come around the corner and there's like a huge bridge that goes from one large rock formation to another, and so you can stand on that and just like see everything like all around you. You can see the view perfectly clearly from either side, and there's just like mountains, there's trees. Like more immediately you can see like the bottom of the mountain you're on either side, and it just looks kind of like these tiny little trees at the bottom, and that's very cool. You can see there's a yeah, it's just a lot to see. And it's very cool. What else? Yeah, you can also go past the bridge a little bit and go up a little bit further, and that's probably the highest point, and you can see across the ridge that you were on before, and so you can see kind of all points instead of just like seeing one side or the other. You can see all around you, and you just feel like you're on top of the world. It's very cool. And all right, so difficulty wise, it was like pretty rough for the first half mile with the uphill, but it was also worth it, and it didn't take that much energy to get up because you're kind of like just starting out and you're ready for it. So that was okay. Like the rocks were a little hard at sometimes, like definitely like fell once and thought I twisted my ankle. It still hurts a little bit, but it's okay. And yeah, and it took longer than you'd expect because of the height, I guess, and because I don't know, you also spend some time looking at the views, so that was part of it. But the elevation is definitely something to take into account when you're like planning out the time it will take and everything, because it goes up pretty quickly. I was afraid of bears. That was a difficulty for me because there's a lot of bear-looking caves, and there's a huge sign when you first get there that says this is bear country. So I was kind of on the lookout for little black bears sleeping in the caves and stuff. And yeah, it would have been cool to see one though. I know they don't really try to hurt you or anything. So anyway, leave no trace principles. I did see a campfire that I don't really think was supposed to be there, and that would have been violating the minimize campfire impacts and respect wildlife principles. And it was like right in the middle of the trail at one of the viewpoints, and it just seemed kind of makeshift and like it wasn't supposed to be there. And I could definitely see that, kind of interrupting wildlife, interrupting animals in their habitats, and just being something unnecessarily there that would impact things around it, and potentially burning down trees and everything like that. Having food there that would get animals to go over there and stuff, it would not be great. since there's a campsite like half a mile down the mountain you could just make a fire at. So that was the one I saw that wasn't followed. There were some that were followed. Like the maps I thought were pretty cool because you could definitely prepare pretty adequately for what you needed to do, the amount of time it was going to take, like exact mile markings, and there's also a board for the campers to write their information, their names. So like I would assume it's like potentially if they were to get lost or anything like that, then someone would know where they were going, someone would know if that they were there, what day they got there, what time they got there, and be able to help them out. There were also a lot of maps so you could know where you were going, and information about bears and about the trails, anything you would need to know. So that was a plan ahead and prepare principle that was like followed really well. Along with that, I also saw dispose of waste properly sign, which was just basically pack in, pack out. And that definitely reminded me of leave no trace right away. And just explained that you can't, it's really advised not to leave trash on the trail. Just take it with you. Take like waste with you. Take anything with you that you bring. And that was cool to see too. My reflection on my health was that it was a really good time. Like, it definitely gave me a much needed like break from reality and stress. Had like kind of a long week of doing a lot of homework and just working a lot and getting ready for Thanksgiving break. So it was nice to just be able to get out there and like take some time to enjoy nature and not be as worried about everything else that's going on. So spiritually, it allowed me to connect with myself and think about what's important and how to stay positive and leave stuff that really doesn't matter and stuff that's just negative thinking behind. Just getting out in nature always allows me to do that, especially like going somewhere new, somewhere that turns out to be a really cool new spot. Physically, it made me feel stronger throughout the whole day. Socially, I spent some quality time with my boyfriend and we got to talk a lot and just be around each other without each of us having to do our own thing. Which a lot of times that'll be kind of how it is. Like, we both have to be doing something and like stay busy all the time. And it's nice to have like a couple hours where we don't have to do that and we can just enjoy each other's company. Intellectually, I feel like way more clear-minded after a hike like that, and I think I can perform better in life and in any situation that might come across my plate. Mentally, I already kind of said that one, but it definitely helped to just like take a step back and like consider like how I've been thinking and what I can do differently to just have a better time doing whatever I need to do or whatever I want to do. And environmentally, I definitely found a new spot that I really enjoy. I didn't expect it to even be as cool as it was. I didn't really read much into it before I went, which I kind of do like doing. I like to just see what happens and see how things are without learning too much about it. All I did was really find the distance and where it was, and then I went for it, and that was cool. And yeah, I would definitely return to this hike. I just thought it was really amazing, and haven't really